Welcome to ZKast, everyone. I'm Zias Caraval from ZK Research, and I'm here at Mobile World Congress 2025 in Barcelona. I'm with Chris Niederman from AWS. Chris, you are Managing Director for...
Industries and Solutions.
Okay, and what does that job entail?
So I focus on, within the partners and specialist organization, I focus on the industry solutions tied to our customers, our customer sell-to teams, and providing the best experience for our customers with business outcomes that they expect tied to specific industry use cases. So we look at the industry-specific cases, and we build solutions, and we help our partners accelerate and scale.
Yeah, now this show has been about telecom evolution really like ever since it was founded. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because telco evolution kind of ebbs and flows. Sometimes there's not a lot going on. Obviously with AI today, there's a lot going on. And I'm curious from your perspective and what the telcos have told you, what are some of the things that they're thinking about right now as far as their evolution goes?
So it's interesting. I'm fascinated to see what happens this year. Yeah. I was here last year for the first time, and I just picked up the industry job. I had been doing GSIs for 10 years at AWS since I joined. And last year, I can speak to last year, I find it fascinating that telcos had been moving from just pure pipe providers to doing things that are more innovative and going bigger in the way they were thinking. And I thought that I had never heard the word techco before. Yeah. And so they were sitting there going, okay, we're going to actually do things at the edge in manufacturing and broadcast and things I had never thought of before. So the evolution is fascinating. I can't wait to see what happens this year.
Yeah, it's interesting though, because that term gets thrown around more in some other regions than it does, say, in the US or Western Europe. Certainly in the Middle East, techcos become very popular. Some European countries like Orange Business Services, things like that. But, you know, for the most part, these trends have kind of come and gone, and the telcos have missed the waves, right? Like certainly cloud was a big opportunity for them. I mean, you know, AWS
just a little bit, right?
Yeah. And do you think this transition is going to be different, though? Are you a little more optimistic here?
100% optimistic. If you look at the evolution of the industries, all industries over the years, going from client server in the 90s to virtualization in the mid 2005, 6, and now cloud. And I think in 2014 when I joined, we didn't exactly know. We knew we had something big there to either reduce cost or help people retire technical debt. But then that think big, innovative piece was really interesting. And I think that we're seeing those changes in that every industry, whether it's telco or media entertainment or financial services, healthcare, they're looking at new and innovative ways to do things that they couldn't before. And so take, for instance, compute at the edge. You know, we're seeing it happen in manufacturing where they're looking at managing the devices on the shop floor for automation, predictive maintenance, and resulting in less downtime. And it's not something I had thought about the techcos doing until I got here last year and started seeing that all the interesting things that, say, Deloitte is doing with Industry 4.0 Smart Factory Fabric, and companies like Savoy Foods in Saudi Arabia, helping them pilot one plant to figure out how they can actually optimize and increase the efficiency of their manufacturing processes. And then as they put more data in the cloud and leverage the telcos, expand that to more plants across the world.
Yeah, now one of the, since you have the industry focus, one of the, I think, underrated aspects of AWS go-to-market is this focus on industries. Yeah. Right? And when it comes to driving innovation ubiquitously, I find often early in technology cycles in particular, an industry focus is really needed to prime the pump and things like that. And so talk a little bit about that and how AWS thinks through those things as it brings innovation to different industries.
So for us today, it's all about industries. And the whole company starting a year ago, we had been doing industries. We had a global accounts team or AWS Industries team that had we covered industry business units from financial services to healthcare, life sciences, auto manufacturing, energy, and so on and so forth. We hadn't gone that far across all sales teams in the world until beginning of last year, although we had those roots that we were working from. But you go back to 2014, and I was running the global SI business, and they'd been doing that for decades, some for well over 100 years. And that's their domain expertise. Their DNA is industry by industry. And so it's we do a lot with them, leveraging their expertise, and we're diving super deep. Our customers also expect and demand that level of expertise, and that's another reason that we went all in, industry by industry, sales team by sales team, and then every single type of organization within AWS, marketing, ProServe, the partner organization, everybody now is all in on industry.
And so talk about that relationship you have with the partners, though. Obviously, partner, I think one of the biggest areas of improvement AWS has made in the last, say, 5 or so years has been the way it interacts with partners. And so talk about the importance of the partners with industry to drive innovation with your customers, because that's kind of a three-way relationship where everything has to work together in order for it to be successful.
Exactly. And so starting back with the global SI motion, and back in 2014 we maybe had 10,000 plus partners, and I was covering about 9 GSIs. And the first motion we did is we sat down with Accenture and Deloitte and Tech Mahindra and others and said, what do you want to be famous for? Like, how do you differentiate? And one of the most logical places was in their sweet spot, which was industry. 2014 was fascinating because at the time, partners could differentiate themselves by, oh, can you do lift and shift? Yeah, I can do lift and shift, okay? Quickly, that was not something that could differentiate you because everybody could do that. 2015, they evolved more of a, do we provide a managed service? Okay, fantastic. What do you do that for? SAP, infrastructure. But then it really became about their IP, and their IP ended up being very specific industry by industry by industry. And you look at Deloitte has extreme amounts of expertise in manufacturing and healthcare life sciences, and they developed a platform called Converge Health, which helped springboard them in healthcare and life sciences. Somebody said to me once, who's your go-to partner? This is back years ago for 2016, 2017 for like telco. Tech Mahindra. Tech Mahindra leaned in super hard with us and said, hey, you know what? We actually think we're pretty good at telco. And at the time, no one else was kind of building plans with us in that particular industry. We were doing healthcare and life sciences and financial services and others. I said, let's go. Let's lean in and be differentiated. Let's provide unique, differentiated offerings that fit our customers' needs and lean in hard. So if you look at our partner plans for the 120,000 plus partners we have around the world, every one of them should be unique and differentiated with us, that we bring something to our customers that they need, always working backwards from the customers.
Yeah, now in this era, there's a lot going on in tech, right? Not just AI, but
just a little bit.
The cloud continues to evolve and things are becoming more mobile, right? This show, there's a big, heavy emphasis on private 5G, and even public 5G services. And so are there some industries that you see being a little bit further ahead than others? And who do you see as the leaders and laggards?
I think it's every imaginable industry. I think it's all of them. So it depends upon the use case. Take, for example, next generation broadcasting at the edge. Doing some really interesting things with IBM and Verizon, one of the largest broadcast companies in the world. And if you take a look at the particular use case, closed captioning, and leveraging 5G with AWS wavelength service, AWS wavelength zones, there's an FCC requirement to have closed captioning within 4 seconds or less. Well, so with Verizon and IBM, with 5G and with wavelength, we can get that. We can shave seconds off of that. So if you can shave seconds off of that, what do you do with the other seconds? Well, maybe we can do other languages. Maybe we can add, greater quality, and so you got the lower latency, and you can now work on quality and other languages. That's just one use case of a number of use cases out there. So, media entertainment in broadcasting, next generation broadcasting at the edge is a great example. Yeah,
well, that's been a big thing. In fact, I've done a lot of AWS and some of the areas you're doing in sports and things where I know some of the leagues thought they would never produce games in the cloud. But now that they do, they can do a lot of really innovative things with it, right? So that's been pretty interesting to watch. Are there others that really excite you though? Like I think healthcare is ripe today. Like that's one that's really lagged. Government's another one that I've seen where I think, especially in the U.S. and Western Europe, it's not like those are really forward-moving industries.
No, not necessarily.
But it seems like they're unlocking some budget though to be able to move forward.
I think so, and those are two of the industries that as I go out on the floor and I go to look to see the innovations and what's happening, I definitely want to see what's going on in those industries, because you're right. I think you look at healthcare, you look at genomics, you look at just any use case out there. There's really fascinating things that we can and should be doing together. Yeah, well, so if it's each and every industry where you're seeing innovation, from an AWS perspective, how do you think about where to prioritize investments and which partners you want to work with to be able to make sure you're maximizing the time you're spending and your partner's time and frankly your company's budget too? Yeah, it could be the easiest question you asked me this whole time. We always start with the customer. We always start with customer. We get the signals from the customers of where do we see demand, what do our customers need, and we're diving deep by industry. So the customer demand and needs really dictate where we want to invest. You take, for example, auto and manufacturing. We start with the customer use cases identified, working with our AWS Industries sales teams. There's 61 specific prioritized use cases that we want to invest in. And then we look customer by customer to see, okay, where are you in your journey? Where are you in your evolution? And it might be 2 of those use cases that they want to prioritize. For example, Aston Martin, they had a need for new vehicle launches to better estimate who their customers are that they should sell to, and then increase the conversion rate of those customers. Using AWS analytics and working with our partners, we're able to help them increase the predictability of customers by 83% and 30 times increase in customer conversion. And you think about the implications of that, and it means that, okay, well, how many cars do I need to make for a new vehicle launch? How does that affect my supply chain? So by using the analytics, I can tell for a new vehicle launch just how many cars to make. So that's one example out of 61 prioritized use cases. There's others. Gen AI is adding new use cases every day, but we got to figure out how to prioritize and hone in on just the couple that every customer needs based on where they are in their journey. And that's where we start. Yeah,
in fact, I stopped by the AWS booth at CES this year in the Automotive Pavilion. I'm not sure I've ever seen an automotive building that big. So
amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. Can you think about how closed that industry was just a few years ago?
Well, and then it's time to telco.
Yeah.
Because I came here last year. I was pretty ignorant on telco, I got to admit. And I came and I go, okay, well, wait a second. There's an automotive booth over there. There's a manufacturing booth over there. Yeah. Like, what's going on here? It's an amazing learning experience.
All right, so let's wrap up on telco.
Okay.
Like I said, we are here at MWC. AWS, I know, made a bunch of product announcements this week. Were there any that you wanted to call out?
There's a bunch coming, and so there's some that are really exciting that I can't share just yet because we got to wait for the announcement. But in general, I love to see the work we're doing with partners. Go figure. I'm going to talk about the work we're doing with partners, especially in the area of 5G and taking computing to the edge. I think it's really fascinating what we're doing with Wavelength and Outposts and a lot of these others. So stay tuned for more this week.
Okay.
There's a lot going on. Also, this week, I think it's really important. There's 4 critical areas, I think, that everybody who is out there and learning about what we're doing, we're focused on network migration and modernization. I think that's really important to see what we're announcing in that area. Another area was take a look at business optimization, OSS and BSS. That's another really important area we're going to be making announcements.
That's an area that has not evolved at all.
But stay tuned.
Yeah.
You know, we think it's a priority area. We think it's going to accelerate. The third one is customer experience. I mean, we have to provide the best customer experience for everybody out there. And then the last one is just growth areas. Things like computing at the edge. Things like how we take your IoT devices, putting them together and providing better solutions and better services that our customers can leverage.
Well, all those go hand in hand. When you ask some of the telcos about why they weren't faster with some innovation, it's the OSS that holds them up, which has an impact on customer experience, right? And so if they can modernize their back end, then they can improve their operational process,
exactly.
Which leads to better customer experience.
Yeah,
right?
And I think some of them are still, a big part of the transition to cloud is cultural. And so we have to not just reskill people. It's got to be about the culture and the cultural change and the shift, and then the change management and the operations and the optimization of this. These are all factors that I think are holding back the traditional telco providers from moving forward faster. Things that we're working with them on.
All right, Chris, anything else you want to add?
By the way, what are you the most excited about?
I think the coming together of 5G and AI. I think just like cloud and mobile really drove each other. I think AI becomes a big enabler of 5G and vice versa.
Yeah.
In fact, at the CES keynote, the NVIDIA keynote, Jensen Huang, their CEO, talked a lot about physical AI being the next big wave of AI, which is going to create a lot of autonomous vehicles and moving robots and things like that. And network plays a big part of that. But in order to fulfill on that, we need to be able to evolve our networks, and I think that's something. To me, 5G has been a bit of a solution looking for a problem for the last few years, but I think AI is the problem.
AI for networks. Yeah. So by mark words, by the end of this show, we're all going to be talking about AI for networks with AWS.
Yeah, and that's good to see.
Yeah, good to see. With partners. Don't forget partners.
With your partners, So AWS, bring in innovation to telcos through its partners.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So on behalf of Chris Niederman from AWS, I'm CS Caravallo from ZKast Research, and thanks for watching. Give us a like and hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time on my next episode of ZKast.